In today's world of regulatory issues, staying ahead means more than just following the rules. It means shaping them. And that's where advocacy comes in. And for the cleaning and facility services industry, understanding how to influence government decisions is more important than ever. In this episode, we're diving into the driving force of government advocacy efforts with two experts who know exactly how these pillars work behind the scenes to drive real change. So, from building relationships with lawmakers to crafting effective policy asks to navigating the complex world of legislation and regulation, we will explore what it takes to be heard and how this industry can become a stronger voice in Washington and beyond. So, at this time, I'd like to welcome Keith and Becky to the program. I'm going to ask them both to introduce themselves, tell us about what they do, their companies, and especially what they do with advocacy work. And Becky, we'll start with you.
Thank you for having me. I'm Becky Caulfield. I work for Spartan Chemical Company. We're a third generation family owned company in Maumee, Ohio. We manufacture industrial and institutional cleaning supplies. I personally am in charge of government affairs and sustainability for Spartan, which means I handle our general government compliance in terms of all of our product labeling and hazard communication, as well as registrations. And I also interact with various industry groups and run government advocacy on behalf of those groups.
Thank you, Becky, for being here and helping with this topic. And Keith, your turn. Tell us about yourself and what you do.
Thank you very much for having me. My name is Keith Snaringer. I'm Senior Director of Marketing for JanSan and Sustainability for Brady Plus. We are a leading distributor of solutions for JanSan or facility care, food service disposables, and industrial packaging. And we are nationwide. We are a conglomeration of many of the sort of legacy leading distributors in many of those in distribution fields. And our goal is to provide not only the supplies, but also the support that our customers need to be successful every day.
Thank you, Keith. Appreciate that. And we're here to talk about what we made up, I think, Keith, the three Ps. Can you talk about that for a second?
For sure. Yeah. So each year kind of in conjunction with International Cleaning Week, ISSA and all of its members converge on Washington, D.C. to lobby lawmakers for legislation that would be beneficial to the industry. This year, it just so happened that we had three things that were the big asks, and they kind of neatly fit into these buckets of people and product and proper training.
Now, some watching our program today might be wondering why us three? Well, I am Jeff Cross, the media director at ISSA. I'm here to ask the questions. And Becky's with Spartan, who's bringing this program to market to you who are watching this program. And Keith, what's your angle here?
So I'm here because as a distributor of supplies plus support, we represent the leading manufacturers in the industry, including Spartan Chemical, and so they're a great partner of ours, and they make the great stuff. We represent it and demonstrate it and help customers solve problems with all the great stuff that they do, and through their R&D and research and development and technical expertise, they come up with great formulas for us to go out there and help our customers get cleaner buildings and safer buildings and healthier buildings.
It's important because two great companies that you both represent helping out with these important issues. But I am going to start us off here and just talk about the first part of this, and then, of course, you both can add into it. But as I said before, my job normally is to ask the questions. But as we were talking about this program, I was asked to talk about the people part of this, and the reason why is because I was there and I saw what happened at this advocacy event. It was my first time there, and I'll be there again. But what I notice is that people are at the heart of advocacy, the workforce, the industry leaders, the communities we serve. And we think about those who are doing the work, the people that all this will impact. In cleaning, that's the janitors, custodians, frontline staff, supervisors, facility managers, manufacturers and distributors, everyone who works in our industry. And there was something that happened, and I know Becky, you were with me when this happened at the Advocacy Summit that drives us home. There was a custodian that we saw working. Her name was Justine, and I have a picture of her, as you can see here. When we saw her in the hallway, she was pushing a cart. She was doing her work, I think heading for the restrooms to clean those. And she was shocked when we stopped her and talked to her about the work that was happening, the advocacy efforts that were happening right there, that she was witnessing in the hallway at that building. So we spent some time with her talking about what we're doing, what was happening, what it would mean for her as she advanced in her career. So she was doing the work in the weeds, you might say. Her whole demeanor changed. She was smiling, she was happy, she was excited about the inspiration that this was giving her because of others who saw what she was doing, who recognized her work, her value, and were trying to do something important about that. So, as I think about the issues such as workforce protection, representation, advocating for the needs of people who need it, focusing on people like Justine is like a motivator for most of us who are involved. And when we boil down issues and make them personal to specific people in the district served by political leaders who can make change happen, then you probably see more results. So that was kind of my thinking on the people part of this. And Becky and Keith, you can add in more before we get into the others. But I just was really um, pleasantly surprised by the reaction of a custodian in a building who didn't seem too excited at the moment, but when she found out what that group was doing, she lit up. And Becky, you're going to speak to the product aspect of this. That's close to your heart as well. Go ahead and tell us about that.
Sure. So, as a manufacturer of the cleaning supplies that are used in this industry, that of course includes things like registered antimicrobial products. One of the P's you could associate with Justine when we saw her was pride. She was extremely proud that somebody was recognizing what she was doing in the workplace. And that's something that's very important to me and my work here at Spartan in terms of how we're complying with regulations that exist around products so that people can use them safely and they can use them in environments to make the work life of the people in those environments better and healthier. So, from a product standpoint, on our advocacy day, one of the things we talked about quite a bit was an EPA funding program called PREA, that stands for Pesticide Registration Improvement Act. And what this does is it allocates money to the EPA so that when manufacturers like us are paying fees to the EPA to review our products, new innovations, new claims, that the EPA has oversight funding to review those products, to process them, and to approve them. And so when we're on the Hill, we're pushing to make sure that our congressional members understand the importance that these products play in terms of infection control, and to remind them the role that government agencies play in making sure that these products are labeled correctly, that they're doing what they say they're going to do, that they have any kind of precautionary language that's required to protect the workers that are utilizing them. So it's a holistic program, and we're there to remind them that it's something that both industry and our congressional members need to be on board with together.
Well, Keith, I know you have something to share about training, proper training. Go ahead and get into that.
Yeah, so as we look at proper training as part of the three Ps, we can't clean a building without people. We can't clean a building without product, and we can't clean a building very well without proper training. And so we see that as being something that these are the three elements that are needed to produce that great result. And that's some of the things that we talked about with each of the legislators. And so one of the things that we were looking at doing what on this specific trip was looking for support for a bill that would expand the use of a 529 college savings plan. Now, some folks may be familiar with 529 plans where you're able to save some money tax-free for usually your child or a loved one to go to college. But our idea is to expand the use of that money so that you could then also use it to train for cleaning workers or other trades, because not everybody goes to college. And so this is something that we were doing to free up money that could be then applied to so for people to be able to do training tax free. So this is something that we're advocating for on behalf of the industry so that we can get proper train, increase the professionalism of all of the cleaning workers, and then we find that people that are better trained do a better job, and they potentially can get um, um, job advancement and go ahead and get like a promotion, make some more money, and these sorts of things.
We've set up the three P's and what that means. Let's get into what this all looks like as this train goes down the tracks, because people might be wondering, they know what you're doing in Washington. What type of preparation does it take to make these advocacy efforts a success? So, Becky, you were just there recently. What do you do to prepare when you go do this?
Sure. So I really love the advocacy side of this work, whether we're doing a federal Hill visit, a state lobbying effort, or just meeting with a particular government agency. Usually it's a small team of people, 3 to 4 people usually. Each of us will give a brief summary, the elevator speech of who you are, who you work for, why you're there. And then we usually have an agenda, a policy that we want to discuss with whatever legislator or staffer we're meeting with. And between the group, there's usually at least one expert who can talk on a different subject. In particular, the ISSA fly-in. In my group, I always talked about PREA as a manufacturer. That's something very important to us. I spend a lot of time doing it, so I'm very comfortable talking about that, and a lot of people usually aren't. So I don't have any problem taking that topic and discussing that. Usually, if you get a really good meeting, you'll have a very engaged staffer who will ask you some questions that allow you to dive in a little deeper. But really, what we're doing there is looking to make a connection with that particular office about who we are as a company, what contribution we're making in a local environment, and what they can do to help us continue to make that contribution and expand that contribution.
So, you've mentioned 3 or 4 might go do a visit.
Usually it's a decently small group like that, yes.
So, we knocked it out of the park at the Advocacy Summit because I think in our group we had 8 or 9 or 10.
We did. Sometimes we were a little bit too big for their really tiny conference rooms. People are usually pretty surprised at how small a congressional office actually is.
Yeah.
And so we did several of them in a hallway, which is how we ran into Justine. So sometimes it all works out.
Keith, what about you? You had to come a long way to go to Washington. What kind
Yes,
of prep work did you do?
yes, yes. So I think that you have, as Becky was talking about, you have like a certain amount of time. Usually we have like a half an hour time frame, and so the idea is to get in, uh, state what you would like to state, ask for their support, and then then leave. So I guess in the acronym, you be brief, be brilliant, be gone type of thing. And so usually you want to set things up with like a hook, a line, and a sinker. The hook always for these politicians has to do with making it local for them. So sure, we're talking about the cleaning industry as the whole industry, but the congressperson from Oklahoma or Nebraska or Ohio or California, it doesn't matter. They're worried about their constituents. So what you want to be able to do is say, I'm here to talk with you about this topic, but here's why it matters to your constituents. So that's going to be the hook is making it local. Then the line is talking about how that's going to benefit people. So once they know, okay, this affects my constituents, tell me specifically how it affects my constituents. So, for example, for this Freedom to Invest in Tomorrow's Workforce Act, the thing that we were doing, the 529 plan, we were talking about how this was a coalition that had been assembled. It's over 900 different coalition members representing 50 different industries, including, and we might say, these couple people who are in your jurisdiction. And then in addition to that, talk about how this is going to help a specific, like try and make it like personal. Like this helped John Smith, like doing training helped John Smith learn about this, they got a promotion, or they took that newfound confidence, they went and started their own business. And so really giving the legislators that example. And then the sinker is then to say, for this particular legislation, we already had close to 100 co-sponsors, and it was almost a 50-50 split between Republicans and Democrats. So we were able to say this is something that is definitely a bipartisan, something that people can relate to in a bipartisan fashion. And it's something that they're not the first, they're not the first guinea pig, that's signing on to it. So make it local, make it personal, and make it easy for them to say yes.
So, Becky, looking at what happened in March and the visit with the Advocacy Summit, would you say that those three requests, did you see success there?
I would say we saw a lot of really positive success. The budget isn't complete yet, so I haven't seen where that PREA funding is going yet. But certainly we raised awareness out of it, and made sure it was top of mind while they were going through that process. I mean, I can also speak from a relationship standpoint. Again, it's one day, but you build those days throughout the years. I during my last visit to DC, I sat on a plane next to our congressional representative, actually, and that's not the first time I've sat next to her on a plane. She knows who my company is. She knows who I am. We have our own little mini fly-in while we're literally flying in to DC. I take advantage of that opportunity, and she's always eager to listen to me. And I'm positive that that has impacts that are only good for both my company and our industry.
Yeah, I asked that question because I just wonder um, when you have a policy ask, what makes it successful? We've touched on that a bit, but from what I witnessed there was a lot of effort, a lot of prep work that went into that, and I've heard good things about the requests afterwards as well. But you're right, nothing's done yet completely. You have to
Well, and
wait.
I can add to that that last year during one of these visits, again, we were focused on PREA funding, and we asked one of our Ohio senators for support of our budget requests. And while we were on the Hill that afternoon with our other Ohio senator, the previous one had drafted a letter, sent it to his office, and asked him to sign on so that both Ohio senators were signing on to it. It was a bipartisan effort, and it was a letter that went to the House advocating that they support this particular budget allocation. So in that case, I would say it was extremely beneficial. We were on site, we got a letter, we got our other senator to join that letter, and that went to the hillside. So that is an example of an extremely beneficial outcome that happened right on the spot.
Another question I have is what it means to be a sponsor of a bill. What does that look like, Keith? Can you talk about that?
Sure. Well, being a person of a certain age, I grew up watching Saturday morning cartoons with uh, some things that they play in between the cartoons called Schoolhouse Rock. And I just so happen to have a couple of things if anybody remembers,
Oh
I'm
my.
just a Bill. I'm only a Bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. For those of you who are younger, maybe go ahead and Google what that means. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is any sort of legislation starts off as a bill. In other words, an idea before it ultimately becomes a law. And so, what we're trying to do is get enough sponsors to the bill so that it will pass through the House, pass through the Senate, and then be signed into law. And so, as we looked at this most recent visit, I think that it was a culmination of work that happens year over year. And so, one of the things that we see as a cycle is sometimes there's a certain legislation that's introduced, it doesn't quite get there, but you have now the nucleus of a agreement among folks. It gets repackaged, maybe brought up by a different sponsor, sometimes it's the same sponsor, but sometimes it's a different sponsor who takes some of those elements, adds a few things that might make it more compatible or more desirable for other folks, and then it starts moving up. So for example, on this Freedom to Invest in Tomorrow's Workforce Act, we showed up with almost 90 sponsors. We came away with an additional 8 states who sponsored that bill. And it ended up that this legislation is now a part of the bill that's the big beautiful bill that people are looking at. So hopefully that big beautiful bill becomes something that will become a law
Let's see
eventually.
that one more time.
The big beautiful bill.
Bill. Yeah. You know what? I think Becky was Googling Schoolhouse Rock while we were talking.
That is very kind of you, but I remember Schoolhouse Rocks.
So the last point I want to get into is kind of an ask you would like to make to the industry from both of you. Call it your wish list. So Keith, we'll start with you. What could we do better? What do you want to see people do? Those watching right now, what would you tell them? And thinking about how they can help.
Yes. So my call to action would be simple. Number one, as a member of ISSA, support the ISSA government advocacy efforts. That's the easiest thing that you can do, and support the people who are working on your behalf. Then, if you're interested, have somebody from your organization get involved. I think that one of the key takeaways is we think about these politicians as being somebody that's maybe we see them on TV, or maybe we think that they're not accessible, but really they're doing the people's work. They're supposed to be working with us. They're supposed to be listening to us. And so it's really interesting to me to see the num the it's maybe a smaller number of people who are actually influencing a lot of their decisions, because those are the people that are in their ear. So it's up to us to be in their ear and bringing these things up. Otherwise, they don't know about it and they don't think about it. So I think that the more people who get involved, the bigger impact we'll have. So, first year we might have had 50, then 100, 150. We got to have a future of 1,000 people crawling across the Capitol with these "I'm an advocate for clean" buttons, really making our presence known on the Hill.
If 1,000 of us go, what will they let us in? Yes,
They
they
don't have
will.
any head count caps.
Yeah.
They'll let you in.
Yes.
No, that's Keith, those are good thoughts and a good wish list. So Becky, we're going to wrap up with you. What's your wish list? What do you want to ask the industry to do right now?
So from our perspective, Spartan in this industry, I mean, we're a manufacturer in this, and in a lot of cases, these laws that are happening, or in some cases not happening, affect us, the manufacturer, but really have implications for our downstream customers. So having our customers involved, this particular summit's really important for me, for Spartan, because we interact with our customers and the way these regulations and laws are affecting them, and we can be their bigger, larger voice, explaining why these matter to us as a manufacturer as well. So I guess from my standpoint, what I would ask of the industry is to lean on your manufacturers. We have a responsibility to our customers. We take that responsibility very seriously here at Spartan, and you should know what we're doing on your behalf. And we would encourage you, like he said, to join us in those efforts for sure.